Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? This is Mia Hall TV. I am here with another episode of Brown Girls Glow Live. Yep, this is the last one of the year, and I'm so excited to continue this series. Glow Girl is a book empowering teenage girls to grow, lead, overcome, and win. And chapter 5 is, well, and also I want to tell you about Brown Girls Glow Live, which is a series that highlights women of color. And it really showed younger women how these older women got to where they are today. So, it can be their career, usually by how they got there by faith. And I love to talk about that. So, I'm going to talk about it tonight before this year's over. It is December 30th, 2025. So, whew, yeah, I'm very happy to be speaking about this tonight. All right, so chapter 5 in our book Glow Girl is called Who's in Your Circle? And it's funny that it's chapter 5 because one of my favorite things to tell people, I believe is a quote by Zig Ziglar, is you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, right? 5 fingers make a fist. All right. So 5 people together, y'all can conquer the world, or it can also knock you out. So you want to have positive peer pressure. You want to have people in your circle that are absolutely positive. Okay. All right. So we are going to talk about chapter 5. This is like literally one of my favorite chapters because I get to talk about the people in high school that inspired me, right? So, man, I start off the chapter by talking about positive peer pressure. As you can see the book here, and just talking about like my friend circle, right? And so I had a bunch of friends, but we had 5 and we called ourselves the group, right? I think that Tamika or Ashley, Ashley is actually not one of the 5 because she didn't change classes with us, but she was in the group. Um, and we all used to hang out at Harry Van Arsdale High School. And so yeah, it was Tamika. I mean, I don't have to look at the book to say, but it was Tamika, Donnell, Charlotte, Omar, and Sam. That was like pretty much, like our core. And we used to go to different classes together. Now, additionally, it was Ashley, who just wasn't in most of our classes. And then it was Tiffany, Tamika's younger sister. I wasn't yawning like the whole day until I wanted to do the live. But anyhow, so it was Tiffany, Tamika's younger sister, who came to the school 2 years after, of course, because she's 2 years younger. So we had the group before her, but of course, she was in the group too. We all used to travel to school together. Me and Tamika lived at the same train stop, so we all used to travel to school together. And I was very inspired by them. Like I talk about in the book how all of us were like, in probably in the top 10 of ranking of the seniors in our high school, right? So they got good grades. Tamika was the valedictorian, so there you have that. But and everybody else, like Sam, I think was like number 3. Sam was like right there. So it was like, what was, I don't know what number I was. I think I might have been like 5 or 6. Now that I think of it, I'm like, what number was I? But yeah, but we were all like pretty much up there, like the smartest in our class. And so very fortunate to have had that group of friends. And really I thank Donnell, aka China, because I think I probably would have been friends with them anyway, but it was really special because I talk about this story in the book, but I'll explain a little bit more here. It was, I graduated from the ninth grade. My school, Russell Sage, went up to the ninth grade, and that's where I graduated from. I'm like, where's my water? Mm. So I graduated from the ninth grade, and then I went to 10th grade, and that was my first year in high school. So I only spent 3 years in high school, 3 years in middle school, actually, and elementary school. I went to like four different elementary schools, maybe five. So I was all over the place. But 3 years in middle school and 3 years in high school. Anyway, first day of school, I get there and, I'm going through the classes. So we had classes in tracks, which, I'm sure schools still do today, but, they put we were in honors classes and they put all of us basically like the same honors kids had the same honors classes. So we had most of the same classes. So I'm going through the classes all day. And then at the end of the day, China comes up to me and asks me who I didn't know who she was at the time, this, beautiful young lady, 10th grader in my class come up to me and said, "Did you used to live in pink houses?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "I'm China, I'm Donnell." Like, she was like, "I went to 224, I was 8 year class. We were like best friends." And I'm like, China, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was a wild, like that we, came from, because and you might say, "Oh, Brooklyn is small." Brooklyn is big, okay? And, honestly, New York City is big. And in New York City, you can go to whatever high school you want to go to, right? So that is, it could be, I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of schools, but we used to have a book this big. I wonder if anybody still has that high school book, but it's not like in a town where you're either like bus to a school or you're going to school like that's closest in your zip code. We had the opportunity to, and maybe they do this in the cities, but I don't know other people that have gone through this process like New York City does. But, we have the opportunity to choose from any school. Like we basically could go to like any school. Some we do have zone schools, but you could really apply to other schools and go. So anyway, she really could have went to any school. Um and we ended up at the same high school in the same class. So that was beautiful. So her friends were Tamika Charlotte Donnell. They had already, been friends the year before. And so that's how I met the group, which I'm very thankful for. So, but yeah, so we all did virtual enterprise together. And virtual enterprise was a program where we got to run a business, but it was a virtual business. That's why they call it virtual enterprise. And China, myself, Sam, and Omar were in that class, and Omar and I started a business together. That's how I got my first cell phone. Like we really had a scarf business, and that's how I got my first cell phone. Either way, I named this chapter, like who's in your circle. Mm. Because as a high school student, that's very important. And these years are your formative years. These years are, the last really time that you will not be seen as an adult. You know, you'll be seen as a child, but after you turn 18, after you graduate high school, you're an adult. Your responsibilities, go up. Some people, of course, have responsibilities in high school, but they're like, oh, they're just a kid. After 18, you are not just a kid. Granted, some people can still call you a kid, but you are legal. You have a lot more rights. You can do a lot more. So, so it's very important who your friends are these 4 years. All right. So another thing that I talk about is these compasses, right? So I'll give you a quick preview of these compasses. The compass is something that I learned probably after college. And somebody told me, it could have been Kendall Reed, but somebody told me that, when you're going to a networking event, look for, think about a compass: north, south, east, and west, right? Or east and west. And so that is your people that, look for people that you can learn from that are, further along on their path than you. Look for people that, that you can build with, right? So that's like networking across. that Issa Rae, but also, she got it from her writer, who talks about networking across. And then south, right? When you look at the bottom of the compass, you look at people that you can mentor. Who can you help out? Who is not as far along as you on their journey that you can help out? So that's what you want to look for when you go in a room and you're networking. So this can be at a leadership retreat. We used to do a lot of those in high school. Or, maybe you're going to a conference, a student conference. Look for those, different types of people. Don't just look at the panelists. You never want to just look at the panelists. Look at people that you can network across with. Amy Ann Eoby, she's the one who talked about, networking across. So that's what you want to do to be able to build with people. All right. So that's what you want to have in mind when you think about these friend circles. All right. And I also talk about power play and how much it helped me as a first generation college student. I also talk about my mentors, Karen Buchholz, and I talk about virtual mentors. So Devon Franklin is the person who told me a lot about virtual mentors. And virtual mentors are basically people who you may not really know in real life, but they have so much of an online presence that you learn from them through the World Wide Web and through the internet. So, that can be, like I said, Ava DuVernay is mine. These are people that are my virtual mentors because I watch their interviews, like Kev on Stage, Tabitha Brown, Will Packer, like people that I know I want to produce, like even Lena Waithe, like, people that are filmmakers and, are dominating this industry. Kia, that is a wardrobe stylist, Kia Bounds. I will, if she has something, I will look at it because that's what I want to do. I really want to and will, succeed in the film industry. And, even Devon Franklin himself, you know what I mean? I have to say he's a virtual mentor of mine. I don't know him personally. I've met him a couple of times though. Thankfully, shout out to Brian as well. And so I learned a lot from his books. And I talk about, two of his principles, the virtual mentor in my book, Glow Girl. Yes, I know it's Glow Girls, but I learned something from him. Two things that I wanted to include for the girls. One, virtual mentorship, but two is what I'm actually going to talk about next week. All right. It's called Shining Through Service. So I'm going to talk about that next week, how service will really help you to shine and will really help you to glow. So that is all. I just wanted to bring this to you really quickly. We do pretty much under 15 minutes. On January 14th, have a special guest that's coming to you. I don't want to announce it yet because I want to wait until it's there. But, in 2026, we will be having more guests on here. And so drop in the comments who you might want to see. And I can, maybe reach out to some more people. I have a lot of friends that I want to get on this show. And I would like to introduce you to them too. So leave a comment below and let me know who you would like to see. Until then, y'all have a blessed, happy, wonderful, joyous Kwanzaa, that we're still in the season of Kwanzaa. And of course, a happy new year. Love y'all. See you next time. Peace.